Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you my day one Glorious Goodwood preview. Really looking forward to this week. I'm going to be doing race previews every day, covering every single race. Really looking forward to it. I'd probably say that Glorious Goodwood is my favourite racing festival. Beautiful track, beautiful location, normally good weather, always still got that classy effect, but maybe not quite as stuffy as Royal Ascot. But for me, I just love Glorious Goodwood. Also as well, fairly local to me. I've been lucky to attend the festival for work the last few years, but it's just unfortunate that I'm not going to be there this year, obviously due to the coronavirus. But we'll be going through all 8 races tomorrow, and also as well, if you're not aware, we're previewing the Galway Festival as well. We're going through every single race there, doing a video every day. Been not a bad day for us so far. We've had a couple of winners, and hopefully we can continue that form into Glorious Goodwood. And also as well, I should say that the Nap and the Next Best and the Long Shot are going to be spread out between the Galway videos and the Goodwood, so you might see just my Next Best in here, and then all the others might be extra tips, and then the Long Shot, the Nap, might be running at Galway, and that's how it will accumulate into the profit and loss, and the other tips will just be categorized in the extra tips. And if you want to know my profit and loss, you can check it out in the description box below, as well as a list in full of all the tips for each video. So yeah, enough of me explaining about that. Let's get into the business end of things, and we're going to be starting with the first race tomorrow, Fillies Handicap in the 110 at Goodwood. We're going with a horse here called Angel Power for Sylvester de Sousa and Roger Varian. Going to recommend a win-only bet here. You can back it at 7-2 in the colours of King Power Racing. Now this horse, she's still very lightly raced, having her 4th career start tomorrow, but she's already shown some decent form. She was a winner at Chelmsford on her seasonal reappearance, and then she made her handicap debut last time off a mark of 85. She finished 2nd at Haydock when taking on the boys. The form's been a little bit mixed. The winner hasn't really done much for it, but the 4th place horse, who I thought should have been the winner on the day and was really unlucky, I remember we put him up for the race, it was Brunch for Michael Dodds. He was a nice winner at York on Sunday, and that was quite a nice race too. So I think there is some substance to that form, and I think Angel Power, running against her own sex, has got a good chance. She's not got a bad draw as well, drawn in the middle, so it's not too bad. You don't want to be too wide if you can over this trip at Goodwood. You kind of want probably an inner to middle stall, because sometimes it can be really hard to make up ground. But yeah, Angel Power, I think she's still got a lot more to come, and she could be contested in listed events, I think, later on in the season. So I think Angel Power, she's got a good solid chance tomorrow. I think she sets a yardstick here, and for me, she's clearly the one to beat. We then go to the 145, the second race. I'm going with Walk in the Sand here for Pat Dobbs and Richard Hannon. You can currently get 28-1, which I thought was a massive price, and that's with William Hill. We're offering 6 places on the race, so I'd recommend an each way bet here. He's been running in listed races so far this season. He ran at Royal Ascot, and then he ran at Newbury last time out, which actually wasn't a bad effort, I thought, behind Global Giant. Now he's pitching back into a handicap tomorrow, and his last victory did come in a handicap when he won off a mark of 105 at Newmarket at the July Festival last year. You might remember, if you've been following my work for a long time, that we actually put him up for that race when Ryan Moore was aboard, and he was quite a game winner from the front that day. He's a prominent racer, he likes to be handy, and he's got a good draw tomorrow in stall 2. And even though he's £3 higher than his last winning mark, I think dropping back into the handicap company could see him in a good light. Richard Hannon, they love to target winners at this meeting, and they're in good form at the moment. They had a really good day on Saturday. They had quite a few winners, and I just think at a massive price, where I've got some question marks over some of the rest in here, I think he's a big player at a huge price. So for me, at 28-1, he's not going to be my long shot. I'm tipping up a bigger price horse at Galway tomorrow, so that will be where my long shot is. But yeah, in the 145 at Goodwood, I thought Walk in the Sand was a big price, and I'd be disappointed if he couldn't give us a run for our money. So that's going to be the selection there. We then go to the 215 for the Vintage Stakes. Always a classy race. Threw up Pinatubo last year, threw up a Dark Vision and Expert Eye in recent years, and the one that I'm going to take a chance on here is King Zane for Frankie Dettori and Mark Johnson. Now I'm going to recommend an each way bet here at 9-1. Now, I know the favourite is Battleground, who won the Chesham, but I don't think the form of that Chesham is up to much. And Aidan O'Brien's horses, they've not been running at peak form. I've noticed quite a lot of their fancied horses in the last couple of weeks. They haven't all been firing on all cylinders. I know Magical obviously won at the weekend, but you look at some of the other juveniles, I think some of the early types aren't really holding their form, and it's not that strong. But this King Zane, I think he can be forgiven for his last run in the Superlative Stakes, which I think is better form. He finished in 6th place in that race, and I thought he wasn't given the best ride by Frankie. He was held out the back. He didn't try to make the run in like he did when he won at Kempton on debut. And I just think maybe the track didn't suit him. Also as well, the restraint ride didn't suit him. I think you can forgive him a lot that day. And Frankie wasn't too hard on him in the last furlong when he actually did stay on. So I think maybe the sharper track of Goodwood might see this horse in a better light. And if he can get in a prominent position, I think he can definitely be in the mix. And at 9-1, I think that's a big price. Mark Johnson as well, they won this race with Dark Vision a couple of years ago. Again, it's his favourite course, Mark Johnson. I say it all the time, but it's well known. He loves to target winners at this meeting. He always has a rivalry normally with Richard Hannon for top trainer at this place over the years. But King Zane at 9-1, I think that's a big price. And I would be disappointed if he couldn't go close. I expect a much better ride this time from Frankie, and fingers crossed he can get the job done. We then go with my next best. So this is going to be my next best tip tomorrow in the 2:45. We're going to the Richmond Stakes, where I'm going to go with Space Blues for Will Buick and Charlie Appleby in the Godolphin Blue, currently priced up at 5-2. And I think if there's a Group 1 animal lurking in here, this could be it. He's 2 from 2 since the resumption of racing. He beat Safe Voyager at Haydock quite comfortably, I thought, even though I was on Safe Voyager that day, and he obviously is going to be clashing again tomorrow and has good form when winning at Epsom. But for me, Space Blues, I think he's got a little bit more scope to come, and I think the track will suit him. 2 and 7 furlongs is the right trip for him. He went on to win a Group 3 in France quite snugly last time out, not being too much for an effort. And even though, yes, you've got Sir Dancelot in here, who's seeking his 3rd win in the race, and there's some other good horses, I think Space Blues, for being a 4-year-old, still has a little bit more to offer and still has untapped potential in group races. So for me, he's a solid contender tomorrow, and at 5-2 I expect him to get the job done. We then go to the 3:15, where we're going to be just going with Stradivarius here. I think I'm not really in the Santiago camp. I know a lot of people are going to be going on about the weight for age and how Stradivarius was able to exploit that when he beat Big Orange here back in 2017. But for me, Stradivarius is just a class apart, and he's very capable of giving away the weight, in my opinion, for Frankie Dettori and John Gosden, going for his 4th win in the race. And I thought he put up a career best performance last time when he won the Ascot Gold Cup. Now, you could argue that the field went up to much, but I still think he actually achieved the higher rating than what the time form and the Racing Post gave him. I thought he was actually better than that, even though, like I said, the field maybe weren't the greatest. But yeah, I think Stradivarius, he's just getting better and better, in my opinion. And for me, I think he's just a solid contender, and he might not be a win bet. I'm going to recommend him as a win bet, but if you want to stick him in a double or a treble, I wouldn't put you off him. I think he would be the banker leg. And for me, yeah, 8-13. Don't normally tip odds on shot, but yeah, I just can't really see anything taking him on. The one maybe I would be interested in is Alnaif Road, maybe without Stradivarius. But yeah, I think Stradivarius is one they've all got to beat, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if he won his 4th Goodwood Cup. We then go to the 3:45, and I'm going with Recon Mission here for Tom Marquand and Tony Carroll. Currently 11-2, just going to recommend a win-only bet. Now, Tony Carroll's horses, they've taken a while to warm up, but in the last week or so, they've been coming into form. And Tom Marquand as well is riding really well at the moment. I think he can give Oisin Murphy a run for his money. Oisin, just in the last couple of weeks, he probably will go and ride plenty of winners over the next couple of weeks, but just recently, in the last week or two, he hasn't maybe been as dominant as some people think, because Tom Marquand's only 7 behind, you know, and Tom Marquand, I think, is going to give him a good fight for the jockey title. And I think he's got a chance here, Tom Marquand. Now, this horse was a progressive 3-year-old, actually won a race at York off a mark of 97, and then still held his form, but got probably just found out a little bit too high in the weights. He's now back down to his last winning mark of 97, and he showed returns form last time out when finishing 3rd at Newbury, just getting closed down in the final stages. That was over 6 furlongs. He's dropping back to 5 tomorrow. I think that's definitely a good move, and if he can get in a good prominent position, I think his stamina for the 6th furlong should see him in good stead over 5. And for me at 11-2, I think it's a win. It's a win all or nothing bet. For me at 11-2, I think he's good value, and I wouldn't be at all surprised as well if he maybe went off favourite for the race. I think he's got solid credentials, and he'll be the one for me. In the 420, we're going with a horse here called Al Kumat. Now anything could come out and win this. It's a 2-year-old race. There's some nice horses from some powerful stables with some nice pedigrees making their debut. But this Al Kumat for Jim Crowley and Marcus Dragonin is the one they've all got to beat. 15-8, I don't think is a bad price. Maybe one for the multiples if you would be interested in that kind of thing. Finished 4th at Newbury and stayed on really strongly in the closing stages, suggesting that he probably learned from that. By Showcasing as well, which is the local stallion to Marcus Dragonin. He's actually my local trainer, based in Whitsbury in the New Forest, on the edge of the New Forest near Fordham Bridge. And Showcasing actually is a stallion there, and that's where Marcus Dragonin trains, so it's no surprise that he gets a lot of Showcasing. Also as well, Showcasing is the sire of Mahatha, who's Dragonin's star horse at the moment. But Dragonin's been in good form since the season started back in June. You know, he's been having quite a few winners, and he does well with his race, with his horses at Goodwood as well. And Jim Crowley as well. It's interesting that he's booked for the ride. He didn't ride this horse on debut. I think it was Martin Dwyer that did. But yeah, Sheikh Hamdan has a couple of runners in this race, but it's interesting that he's picked him, and he normally gets it right. He's normally been picking a lot of Sheikh Hamdan's horses correctly. Stool 3 as well isn't a bad draw. I just think there's a lot to like about this horse, and he's the one they've all got to beat and is the solid yardstick. We then end with the 455. Again, quite a competitive handicap on paper here, but I thought Chartered for Harry Bentley and Rafe Beckett could go really well. 10-1 with bookmakers at the moment. You can get 4 places with the majority of firms, and I'm going to recommend an each way bet here. Now this horse does have to carry top weight tomorrow off a mark of 84, but last season showed some really good form, and her career best effort actually came here when she beat Eve Johnson Horton's Hyana, who's actually rated now £13 higher than Chartered. Even though she was receiving lumps of weight that day, Chartered still put in a nice comfortable performance, and I think she's better than a mark of 84. The main concern is maybe we haven't seen her for a while, but I think it speaks volumes that Rafe Beckett's kept her in training, and they've been doing well recently as well, with horses coming back after an injury or after a long layoff. They had a horse yesterday, just got touched off at York. I think it was Dancing Vega. They've had a couple of other horses as well from New Yards making their handicap debuts or making their first appearances from other stables. For Rafe Beckett, he's been doing well, been in good form, and returning to a course where this horse we know has got her career best form and put her career best efforts up. I think at 10-1 tomorrow, it wouldn't be a shock at all. It wouldn't be a shock at all to see her run a really strong race. And for me, Chartered, I think at 10-1 represents a fair little bit of value there. And for me, that's going to be my final bet on day 1 of Glorious Goodwood. So if you want to know all the selections or a recap, just make sure you click the description box below, and you'll see a full list for the full prices, and also as well the extra places that are on offer. Also as well, to not miss out on the Galway videos and all my other content, please make sure you subscribe here to my YouTube channel at Lucky Loaders 15. Also as well, if you want to follow me on social media, the best place to do so is on Twitter, where my handle is at Lucky Loader 15. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, why don't you check out my website, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So that's all I got to say. Please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.